Hi, my name's Garth Knutson with BizFlow, and it's my pleasure to introduce you to the product. We already did a presentation on who we are, what we do, and now I want to drill down on the product itself. We're going to spend about 15 minutes doing this. Now, in the last presentation, I introduced the product and spoke to it just for a few minutes and told you a little about the feature and functionality. So process modeling, forms development, monitoring, the user interface, user design, or the user experience. Let's go into that a little further now. One of the key aspects of any BPM suite, specifically the BizFlow plus BPM suite, is process modeling. We have a process modeling studio called BPS, or the BizFlow Process Studio. And in it, we use these different capabilities to drag it into the studio, and each one of these represents an activity, a human activity, a system activity, some other activity. A human activity is where a person, a workflow participant such as myself, is doing work. A system activity might be where something hits a database, BizFlow is watching that database, and we set a trigger on it. So as that new piece of work hits the database, it triggers something within BizFlow. It might initiate a work item or update a work item. So with this feature and functionality, we can build out our process map. This is an example of an insurance process, an underwriting process to be specific. And behind each one of these nodes, I could double-click it and add business rules. Those rules govern the different policies and procedures, roles and responsibilities, routing, escalations and deadlines, and other elements that make up a service level agreement. BizFlow has this rules management capability within the Process Studio. And this is where you build out your application, or at least the process side of your application. And you manage the application itself, you manage the changes to that application, you publish the application, and you can create documentation from this. As a business analyst and a process designer, you will spend time in the Process Studio. Let's go to the next piece of this equation. We have rapid forms design and development. So the BizFlow WebMaker module is where you would design your forms. So what is the data you need to capture? Well, it could be first name, last name, social security number, address. So these are different fields in the form that you will need to add so that me, the workflow participant, can go in and fill out something or review it or update it, depending on where I am in the process. It's a drag and drop studio. It's a model view and control based studio. MVC means model view and control. And it has different capabilities depending on what you want to do. These controls and data bindings, database integration to pull data from other sources, to pre-populate a form or auto-populate a form, or maybe validate something. So for example, I'm in a form, I'm filling it out. I put my name in. Well, you as the customer may want to validate the information I put in before it goes to the next step in the process. So to ensure that you have the right information. So we might integrate that with a different system where that data resides to validate it against. Configurable user interface. So this is the user experience. This is where I log in and I do my work. You can see on the top navigation bar there's different areas, and this is all configurable. So for example, the standard is a My Work tab. And in that My Work tab, or that menu, you would see your work queue. What is the work I need to do? And all the columns represent key data that help me understand exactly what I need to do, who sent it to me, what's it about, the deadline, whether it's on time or late, or any other key criteria that you want in the application to help you do your work quickly. You can see that it can be configured in different ways. This bottom part shows, and we'll do a demo for you. We'll record a demo about all of this as well. That you can configure it in many different, we call them BizFlows, BizCoves. So this example is one BizCove here, and then one down here, and the third in the next area. It's just a way to configure your work. My work, my tasks, my monitor view, my reports. It's all up to you. It's highly configurable, and this is one of the differentiators of the product. Reporting. Now, all the data that we're gathering from the business process model and the forms can be used to create reports, and these reports could be Excel type reports. They could be dashboards. So in this example, you have the United States, and in each state there's a figure there that represents the number of grants, in this use case, that have been completed in that specific state. And because this is a drillable dashboard, or rather, you have the data that backs up each element of this report. For example, Texas has 51 there, so you have the data behind that 51 number. What is it? What does it mean? Well, let's provide it as an additional view into the data itself. So we click there, and up pops that other view with the pie charts. And those pie charts tell you a different story. What the grant is, where was it created, who owns it, how many people does it cover, etc., depending on the data you're gathering. And then you could actually click on a pie chart or one of those dots in the other graph and go into additional detail about the apprentice, him or herself. So if you're collecting data, or even more importantly, if you are the business analyst and you're working with the end customer, you want to know what they're trying to do. What do they want to accomplish? What is the data they need to accomplish it? And now to ensure that within the process or the forms, you're collecting that data in order to show it to them in a report, and even better, a dashboard that they can drill into and make decisions with. It's the power of BizFlow. It's all in the product. Monitoring. So a key aspect of any solution we build is process monitoring. You want to know where the work item is at any given time within the workflow. So I initiated it, I filled out the form, and I submitted it. It went to Jim. Jim gets it, he reviews it, he attaches something, and then approves it and submits it. It goes to Scott. Meanwhile, I'm waiting. I'm wondering where it is. I can go into BizFlow. I can log in. I can go into My Monitor View, click that specific work item, which is work in progress, and up pops my monitor view, which tells me where the work item is, and I learn that it's with Scott. And I can tell how long it's been with Scott, and if there's any SLA around that specific activity, I can then be assured that Scott will complete it on time, or there might be a notification or an escalation involved. This is the power of BizFlow. In this case here, we know it started with new registration. It follows this blue line. Here, it depends on the role, and based on how I submitted it, it went over here down to the register apprentice and moved through the process flow. And based on our advanced monitor view, I can now know how many processes are at that same point. So now I know bottlenecks. Say Scott, he might be working hard and had forgotten something. A number of processes stop at his activity and produces a bottleneck. Now I know I can bug Scott, or maybe as the manager, I know how to improve upon what we're doing with additional training, additional people, improved process, etc. Okay, so this is a very powerful aspect of our product. We can control the process with rules, we give visibility with tracking, and we ensure compliance, having that visibility and control together. Now, case management. Case management enables us to attach documents, to correspond with others and capture that correspondence, to take notes and share those notes with others in the workflow. BizFlow enables this. It's quite intuitive. It often happens on the left side of the application. So I'm in the application, I'm doing my work over here, and on the left pane, I can see that there's new correspondence coming in. I can reply to that. That correspondence can be internal or external. We've enabled that. And I can attach anything involved so that I have a complete 360-degree view of the case itself. And then output management. So much of what we do takes the data that we've collected and based on specific rules kicks out a document, say a new policy. So with our forms template capability, we can help you create an email form or specific document template to take that data and plug it into the document based on descriptions or rules that you've created yourself. And this is terrific because it's almost like the last mile of the process. We've done the workflow, and now instead of completing and printing something and putting it in the mail, why not just click a button and all that data goes directly into a form template that is then sent directly to the mail center and shipped, or email and shipped. We can take care of it all. So this is a quick introduction to BizFlow, core features and functionality. The next presentation we can go into a use case for a specific application and talk through some of the core functionality as well as specific capability we built in that application. And then in another presentation we can talk about methodology. Thank you.